Jennifer Lopez arrived at the studio that morning like she had 100 times before, on time.com and camera ready. She was there to promote a new movie, a romantic comedy she both starred in and produced. Her team had coordinated the appearance, with a view weeks in advance, and everything was supposed to be straightforward. A light segment about love, longevity in Hollywood, and her latest work. But from the moment she walked on set, something felt off. Joy Behar, who was leading the interview that day, barely greeted her. No small talk, no smile, just a perfunctory nod and eyes buried in her notes. Jennifer didn't think much of it at first. Maybe Joy was tired, maybe she was preoccupied. These things happen in live television. The show went live, the audience clapped. The co-hosts gave their usual cheerful introductions. Jennifer smiled, adjusted her mic, and prepared to answer the first question. Then Joy spoke. "So, Jennifer," she said, her tone already sharper than necessary. "Let's talk about your latest project, another romantic comedy. You've been playing basically the same character for what, 20 years now? Don't you think it's time to do something different?" The air changed. The smile on Jennifer's face froze just slightly. Even the camera operator mid-pan seemed to hesitate. Jennifer, composed as ever, offered a gracious response. "Well, Joy, I think love stories are timeless, and people relate to them no matter the era. Each character I play brings something new to the table," but Joy cut her off with a laugh. Not a friendly one, something new. "Come on, Jennifer, be honest. How many times can you play the career woman who finds love in an unlikely place?" The studio audience chuckled awkwardly. The other hosts shifted in their seats. Sunny Hostin glanced sideways, clearly uncomfortable. Jennifer kept her poise, but her body language started to shift. Her shoulders stiffened, her smile thinned. "Worked with great writers and directors to bring authenticity to each story," she said. "And I'm proud of the work I've done." Joy leaned back, folding her arms. "Authenticity, or just a formula that makes money?" she asked, lifting an eyebrow, "because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're just recycling the same movie over and over again." Jennifer blinked. There it was, not criticism, not curiosity, but confrontation. "I've also produced many of these projects," Jennifer replied, her voice steady. "So yes, I have creative control, and I care deeply about telling stories that matter." Joy smirked. "Creative control," she repeated, using air quotes. "Is that what we're calling it now?" The audience murmured. The energy on set had shifted from awkward to icy. Jennifer glanced to the other hosts, but no one jumped in to redirect. That's when she realized this wasn't an interview. It was an ambush. The smile on Jennifer's face faded completely. "I'm not sure what you're trying to accomplish here." "Joy," she said, her voice still controlled but now edged with steel. "I came here to have a conversation, not to be attacked for the work I've built over decades." Joy raised an eyebrow, undeterred. "Attacked? Please. I'm just asking the questions people are already thinking. You've built an empire on playing America's sweetheart. But what's actually behind the image?" Jennifer sat back slightly, absorbing the hit. "You're suggesting I'm not real? That the work I do isn't real, I'm suggesting?" Joy said that people are tired of seeing the same face in the same movie, doing the same thing. It wasn't a question. It was a statement dressed as a jab. Jennifer's voice dropped to a lower register. Calm, firm. "I've been in this business for more than 2 decades. I've worked my ass off to stay relevant, to grow, to evolve, not just as a performer, but as a businesswoman, a mother, and a producer. I'm proud of that." Joy scoffed again. "You mean the brand?" she asked. "Because at this point, J.Lo is a brand more than a person." Jennifer blinked, and something inside her shifted. There's a difference between hard questions and straight-up disrespect. And in that moment, she realized Joy had crossed that line. "You know what's exhausting?" Jennifer said. "It's exhausting to sit here and pretend like women can't be successful without someone assuming it's all an act." The studio audience applauded. A few of the co-hosts smiled nervously. Someone backstage whispered to a producer, but no one cut to commercial. Joy's expression didn't change. "I just think viewers deserve honesty," she said, "not manufactured image management." Jennifer looked at her. Really looked. "And I think viewers deserve interviews that don't come laced with bitterness," she said. "You don't know me, Joy, but you've clearly decided you don't. Like me, So why invite me here? For a moment, Joy faltered. Then she leaned in. Because I'm tired of playing along with the celebrity PR machine, I ask real questions, and if you can't handle them, maybe you shouldn't do interviews. The studio fell quiet. Jennifer stared at her. Her eyes didn't flinch. Then she said quietly, but clearly, "You know what, Joy? There's a difference between asking hard questions and taking cheap shots. And what you're doing right now, it's not journalism. It's cruelty, dressed up as critique." And she stood up. A hush fell over the entire studio as Jennifer rose from her chair. The camera stayed on her, but no one spoke, not the audience, not the hosts, not the production team scrambling behind the scenes. Jennifer adjusted her mic, stood tall, and looked directly at Joy. "I've done thousands of interviews in my career," she said. "Some hard, some friendly. This isn't either. This is a setup." Joy smirked again, but her confidence was beginning to crack. "Come on," she said. "Don't be so sensitive." Jennifer laughed, not bitter, just tired. "This isn't about sensitivity," she replied. "It's about basic human respect, something this interview has been lacking from the first question." She turned slightly to the other co-hosts. "I want to apologize to all of you. This wasn't what I expected, and I'm sure it's not what you signed up for either. But I'm not going to sit here and let someone tear down my career and character because it makes for good TV." Sunny Hassan gave her a subtle nod of solidarity. Sarah N. looked visibly uncomfortable. The show's producers motioned for a commercial break. But Jennifer wasn't done. She turned back to Joy. "Whatever satisfaction you get from trying to humiliate people on Rye, hope it's worth it," she said. "Because this is not journalism. This is not professionalism. This is just mean." The audience was dead silent. Even the camera crew had stopped adjusting lenses. And then Jennifer looked into the camera, the live feed still rolling, and spoke directly to the viewers at home. "To everyone watching," she said, "this isn't what The View usually is. The women on this panel are professionals who ask tough but fair questions. What happened today wasn't that, and I won't sit through it for the sake of being polite." She removed her mic, handed it to a producer, and walked off the set. The camera stayed on her until she disappeared behind the curtain. Then, finally, the show cut to commercial. The clip of Jennifer Lopez walking off The View went viral within minutes of airing. Social media exploded. Twitter was ablaze with hashtags like #JusticeForJLO, #JoyBeharExposed, and #TheViewDisaster. TikTok edits surfaced almost instantly, pairing Jennifer's final speech with dramatic music and slow-mo walk-offs. Clips of her saying, "Don't shrink to make others comfortable," became anthems. Meanwhile, people began re-examining Joy's history. Old clips resurfaced of her being condescending to other women: Mariah Carey, Kim Kardashian, even a frosty exchange with Beyoncé years ago. What once was seen as tough journalism was now being scrutinized for what it might actually be: ego wrapped in cruelty. The View's audience took a hit that week. For the first time in months, ratings dipped. ABC issued no formal apology, but an internal source claimed the network was reviewing procedures for how interviews were conducted moving forward. Then came the unexpected twist. 2 days later, Jennifer Lopez appeared in a surprise Instagram live with her longtime friend, actress and activist, America Ferrera. They weren't there to rant, they were there to unpack. "People think walking off that set was dramatic," Jennifer said calmly. "But what would have been more dramatic was staying seated and letting someone dismantle everything I've worked for without saying a word." America nodded, adding, "We're constantly asked to stay quiet, to be grateful, to not make a scene." The live went viral. Comments poured in from fans and fellow celebs alike. Viola Davis commented a row of clapping emojis. Lizzo posted, "You handled that like a boss." Even Taylor Swift shared the clip on her story with the caption, "This is how you do it." By the weekend, Jennifer had gained 2 million new Instagram followers. Streaming of her music and films surged. Old interviews of hers were dug up and rewatched, especially those that showed grace under fire. But perhaps the most unexpected response came from someone nobody saw coming. Joy's former The View co-host, Rosie O'Donnell. In a blunt TikTok video, Rosie said, "This isn't the first time Joy's let her ego ruin an interview. Jennifer Lopez stood her ground. That's what being a professional looks like. The fallout didn't just remain in entertainment. Colleges began using the clip in media ethics classes. Journalists began writing op-eds questioning the line between tough questioning and performative cruelty. A panel on CNN even hosted a segment titled, "When Interviews Become Ambushes," a cultural reckoning, and through it all, Jennifer never responded with venom. She didn't clap back, insult, or mock. She let her words and her walk-off speak for themselves. By the end of the week, The View released a sanitized version of the interview online, cutting out large chunks and issuing a small on-screen note. This segment has been edited for clarity and time. The comments were brutal. You edited out the accountability. Jennifer Lopez handled this better than the entire show's production team. This isn't The View, it's The Ambush. And in an ironic twist, Jennifer was later invited to speak at a media integrity conference hosted by Columbia Journalism School. She accepted. Her speech, titled "Truth Over Trauma, Reclaiming the Conversation," was watched by millions. "If we can't have honest, respectful conversations," she said, "then we're not informing, we're performing. And performance without purpose is just noise." She didn't mention Joy by name. She didn't need to. The message was clear, and it echoed far beyond that single interview. Jennifer Lopez walked off set that day, but in doing so, she walked straight into a bigger role, one of cultural clarity, a reminder that silence isn't always strength, that kindness isn't weakness, and that standing up for yourself isn't drama's dignity.